Welcome back. This is the FOE or fold over elastic waistband video. So you should already have a finished undie with finished legs. All that's left is your raw edge of your waistband. You'll need the length of the elastic in your cutting chart, and we're going to use our color-coded pins again. We're going to stitch our elastic flat so that we can open that up. And this will be just like the FOE legs if you did the FOE legs. We're going to quarter our waistband. You do that just by folding it in half and finding the front. Open that up. Match the pin to your seam. To find your two sides, we'll mark those sides in green. All right, and now we have to quarter our waistband. So to do that, we're going to match our side seams. We'll mark the front in pink. And the back in blue. We'll open that back up and match those pins, and we're just checking to make sure that our side seams are our side. Depending on your size, or if you've done a full belly adjustment, your front could be a little bit wider than your back, so your true sides are not going to be your side seams. If that's the case, just mark your side seams with your green pins where the side falls if it doesn't hit the seam. So with your undie right side out, and your elastic right side out, you're going to slip the elastic over the undie. All right, just like that. And then you're just going to match up your colored pins. And what you want to do is line up the raw edge of your fabric to the fold line in your elastic. When you're at the back seam, just open that seam just flat against itself. Match the raw edge to the fold line. Make sure you're not twisted. Now we've got some really big spaces between these pins, so we're just going to add some helper pins. So just grab any two pins that are next to each other, and you're going to stretch the elastic gently until that section is the same size as your undie. Then you're just going to pick a spot that you can reach somewhere toward the center while it's stretched. And then when you let it go, it will adjust itself and loosen up. But this spot that you have pinched is the meeting point of where it'll meet, even though it's not exactly in the center of those two pins. And we're just going to pin that in place. That way, when we're at the machine, we have a smaller section that we have to work with at a time, because you're sink your needles at the first pin, stretch that elastic, stitch that down to the next pin, and then do the same thing. I'm just going to finish adding our helper pins. And we're going to stitch this on from the wrong side of the fabric so that we can see where the raw edge is meeting the fold line. You need to stretch the elastic as you go, but try not to stretch the fabric. And you want to put it on with your stretch stitch, your lightning bolt stitch, but you want to lengthen it to about a 4 or a 4.5 so that essentially it's becoming a basting stitch, but it's still a stretch stitch, so we don't have to remove it because we're going to cover it up when we come back. So I'm going to stitch from the inside around, stretching as I go, and making sure my fabric and my stitches are never go above the fold line. I want to keep the fabric and the stitches below the fold line. All right, we've got our elastic with our right side of our fabric on touching the wrong side of the elastic, and we've got that stitch down with the raw edge matching the fold. So now we just need to fold over our fold over elastic. So you're going to bring that to the wrong side, and we're just going to clip that in place. You're going to clip that all the way around, and then you're going to top stitch from the right side this time. I'll be using a zigzag so that I can make sure to catch my edges on both the top side and the bottom side. And then that zigzag also gives me a stretch stitch for my waistband. So I'll clip that in place and top stitch that down. All right, you should have a finished waistband. Top stitch down on the outside, and it looks exactly the same on the inside. And with that longer basting stitch, you hardly notice it at all. Where we folded over our ends in the back there, if you have them sticking out, you can easily trim those off. Just make sure you don't clip any of your stitches, and it's not going to harm anything at all. And then you have a nice even flow right across there. And there's hardly no hump at all, no bulk, because we opened that seam up and did it in the round. All right, you should now have a finished pair of undies, and I'll meet you in the wrap-up video.